So can we start?
For sure.
What is your advice for countries, I mean post-communist countries, to avoid this horrible fate of Western Europe and US?
Hungary is kind of a glittering example of what I was saying earlier in the speech. That nothing bad happens if you just say, nope. You know, and now this is a country that has abortion rates going down, birth rates going up. People are kind of happy and proud and patriotic. Of course, they are relentlessly labeled as neo-Nazis and you know, whatever. But I spoke. So Orbán invited me last year, I think, to go to speak in Budapest, and I actually met Hungarians rather than just reading press about them. And this is a country that has decided we don't want this here. We know what we are. We know the values. This is a country, of course, that has been taken over from, you know, every end of the totalitarian spectrum. You know, they've really been through the ringer, and they've decided we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to have a democracy. We're going to have Christian values, and this is not a slice of the global population that coheres with our civilization and would fit well in our country. And what did they do? What impossible task did they accomplish? They just said, nope. As simple as that.
Do you think we can do something to help Western Europe?
Germany? Well, not anymore. It's too late now. No, I don't know. I mean, I liked the stunt. You know, the AfD went over and said, "Oh, Syria's fine. You can all go back now." But this, of course, is not gonna produce the results. You have to make it a more attractive proposition for people to stay where they are than to come to the West, right? Which means you have to close the border, so they know that if they come, they're going to be turned away. This is what happened in Hong Kong. This is what happened in Australia. When people know that they're not going to be taken in and put on welfare, and you know, have buildings built for them, and they know they're not going to be able to get away with murder and do, you know, literally in some cases, and do whatever they want. They don't try. And those countries that have clear, unambiguous immigration policies, like Australia, which is very difficult to get into, I'm not allowed on the continent, but even for normal people it's difficult to get into, typically people don't try. And what does this do? This saves lives. People don't die in boats trying to get there. People just don't bother trying. And countries like Hungary, who have just said, nope, I would imagine probably that Germany has the population it now has. But it is possible to say no more.
Okay.
And to insist also on the people who are here obeying the law and behaving as good, decent citizens. And if they don't do that, they're deported immediately with no right of return. It seems to me not a particularly extreme or dramatic course of action. It seems to me basic common sense to protect your population.
But now countries, I mean countries in Central Europe and perhaps even Germany, are flooded by Soros money and Soros people.
Yes.
How can we fight against
But George Soros is from Hungary, and they did it. His base of power is nowhere stronger than in Hungary. But but Orbán is expelling him. You know, saying we're not going to do this gender studies in universities. These, you know, Soros-funded Marxist claptrap crap courses. We're not going to have this in Hungary. This is not what Hungary is, right? All it takes is a political will to say no. I mean, George Soros has been effectively expelled from Hungary, you know? And if he can be thrown out of Hungary, he can be thrown out of anywhere.
And my last question, do you think that Germany and Sweden and other countries of West,
yes,
is it still possible to save them?
I think that you have to hold everybody to the same standards. And if people do not meet those standards, they must leave. And that's the only way that these countries might be able to wrest back some degree of, you know, normalcy and safety for the most vulnerable people in society, right? The people who bear the brunt of this stuff, women, homosexuals, Jews, you name it. You know, you even hear stories about disabled people being beaten up in the street. I mean, this stuff is barbaric, right? The only way to send a clear and unambiguous message that if you want to live here, you have to obey the law, is to start sending people back who don't.
And one question to you as a Jew.
Yes.
It seems now that leadership of Jewish communities often support immigration and support multiculturalism.
Well, many books have been written about why Jews vote left wing and all the rest of it, and I don't have a more definitive answer to that than any of the authors who have dedicated 500 pages to it. There are lots of interesting theories about it. At some point, Jewish people have to recognize that this is no longer a question of politics or secularism, whatever. This is existential, and there are some inevitable consequences that flow from that. to be really honest with you, I haven't seen much evidence that Jews have noticed. I haven't seen much evidence that black voters in America have noticed what bad news the Democrat Party is for them. Or the one group that has done okay is homosexuals. So, I mean, I think it was almost 10 years ago now that The Guardian did a poll where they revealed, and they were very shocked and distressed by this, that half of white gay men in Britain were going to vote Tory, were going to vote Conservative. Why? Because they weren't suffering from oppression or prejudice anymore. There wasn't really any homophobia, so they started to vote with their economic interests, and they decided they were going to be conservatives. This is horrifying to the left, because what it tells you is that these people aren't really suffering from any of the sorts of oppression anymore that we're constantly told that they live through, and they start voting just like everybody else, according to their economic self-interest. This is, it seems, not on the cards for black voters in America or many Jewish voters throughout the West. I don't have a solution for that, and I don't know anybody who does.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks.
Please for German.